Ah, hello guys, good morning. This is Alex Julian or Aloysius Zanderman here. I toast you with this Arnold Palmer version of Diet Half and Half Iced Tea Lemonade right here. There's even a picture of Arnold Palmer there. And I will be going with my golf enthusiasm as I talk about with this review a Beatles album called Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And I will give revelation to you with this review to show with this display of grievances and pleasures where the album can go as far as politics go and where the album can go as far as art goes. Because the album is definitely a combination of politics and art. And definitely there's a lot to show for it with just the front cover of the album, which shows all of the Beatles' sort of list of favorite authors and writers in history. And let's toast to that with ongoing pursuits for harmony among us, including love and charity and forbearance, to realize people as they really are and not get too much into conservative pride or even liberal pride, because pride does dance on too many numbers sometimes, and there's not enough paint to dry in every case. So, here's a toast. Now, oh, by the way, you know I'm a sodaholic, right? Sodaholic, yep. And definitely, there's something to say about my fascination for soda, my fascination for lollipops, my fascination for dandelions, my fascination for marshmallows, my fascination for unicorns. And there's a lot of tradition in it when it comes to unofficial, if you will, traditions of myth appreciation, as in appreciation for mythology. And Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band does dig into mythology, legendary works such as with the notes, with the musical notes, and with the numbers, and with where in this vast Beatles universe, where this approaches when it comes to expanding the blue marble of our understanding, trying to find the earth between us. And definitely there's a lot of really good and good quality music here that rings just really true to ears, especially the ears who have, with human ears, have come to terms with not only popular music, but also local music, if you will. And definitely, as a Western sort of guy in the California state, I could definitely tell foreign influences with this album because Indian food is not so plentiful here in California. There's a lot of gear in California more for Mexican food and Chinese food because those are our neighbors. California has close by neighbors like China and Japan and Taiwan and Vietnam and Mexico and northern parts of South America. And the Beatles album here relates to really faraway members or neighbors of the political world, such as, the Indian cultures with the Indian music and with a lot of that Western European flair that is really hard to hit with California's current music climate. And definitely there's a lot to say when it comes to finding friends for us, finding harmony for us, finding where pinpoint love can appreciate pinpoint humor and pinpoint sense. And, there is a lot of psychedelic flavor with the approach to this album when it comes to it having an insurmountable amount of effort when it comes to details with very fine lines of amusement. And there's so much to say about this album. I mean, it has a lot of skyrocketing features even today. I would say this album is still revolutionary today. It's still very high up on the marks. And I think in a lot of ways, the Beatles improved their music from isolating themselves from live touring and, just being in privacy with their membership and with their approach to music. And I think it was wise for a while to stay away from live music because live music can be too intimidating for some people. I think music improves a lot more when the musicians are off and away in their own universes, such as with Beethoven. With Beethoven having distance from his music with his deafness of hearing. It's imperfection in our lives that really rings to us the true numbers to paint and the true paint to go by the colors of the rainbow around us when it comes to pride that gets to the circuitry of our nerves. And I'm expressing literature right here just in my spoken word with this video. And my video here acts as an audiobook, if you will. And, here's Jesus Christ on this cross here, of course. Let us remind ourselves that we could all be friends, we could all get along, and we could all spare time with each other. We just have to remember that our list of favorite authors is not the reality of the circumstances. It just gets into a lot of imagination and a lot of wonder and curiosity when it comes to our lists of favorite things to do and our lists of favorite writers and favorite artists and favorite musicians. Our list of favorites does become an illusion over time because we will go to strangers with our curiosity in arts and crafts and hobbies and actions and activities here and there, and we will gather up a lot of storage when it comes to imagination to hopefully paint by the numbers, but it does get tricky. And when I listen to this album by the Beatles, I get into a lot of humorous satisfaction with hearing the orthodox sort of levels mixed in with the new modern levels, where it feels like it's going backwards in time and going forwards in time, and it feels like there's kind of like uh, a World War Zero going on, where it's like there's peace and harmony, and there's approach to friendship. And to this day, this album by the Beatles is a great seller. And you can even go to Walmart here in town in Tehachapi and see remaining Beatles albums on sale and records and with CDs and such. Toast to that. Toast to Arnold Palmer. Toast to Beatles. And definitely, we should remember that um, um, love is around us, happiness is around us, emotions are around us. There's hope for charity and forbearance to bring the deliverance home with us, to have that kind of magnifying level of appreciation for good quality music, as in good quality messaging, as in to give a message by the sound. Like, what is the sound of this level or that level? The album is short by the Beatles. This Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, it's short, but it gets right on the margin. It gets right on the tune. It gets to the focus without being overly loaded. And it makes it easier with these short songs to listen to the songs over and over and get into the rhythm. Because we have to remember that when it comes to music, there's that repeat button. There's that play button that we could push again and again. And on YouTube, you can find the album by the Beatles. And it helps a lot to turn off the advertising by paying YouTube a certain amount for turning ads off. And I really recommend turning ads off, so that way we could just get to the music. That's a key right there. Turning off advertisements. I like to see advertisements sometimes, but other times I'm not in the mood. So it helps to bring that circle of life in focus and just to get to the essence of music and not bother with so much of that. Like, buy this or buy this or buy this when it comes to things to buy. Because I do not need constant reminders to buy things, such as like, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. I mean, eventually I have to turn off the advertisements because it does hit me too hard. And also, when you think about it, there's quality to a certain extent that naturally is advertising. So with this Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, there's already a lot of the album that does act as a sort of advertisement, as a sort of pseudo imaginary world in particular, when it comes to there being diamonds in the sky somewhere, or there being close encounters with European enthusiasm, and with that whole dynamic of British invasion of America that counteracts with America's influence to other parts of the world. And definitely, I could give another toast to this just as a reminder that thirst and hunger do relate to music and quality, such as where music goes as far as the eye can see, and where contact of musical notations still rings with the rest of the length of quality performance when it comes to that lonely heart symbolism, that lonely heart sort of gathering of the emotions and the flair, such as with the plane rides and the boat rides and all those images you can see with the lyrics of the song. Now, does a lot of this mumbo jumbo have to do with drugs in particular? Well, let me toast on this and drink a little bit and give some explanation on it a little bit more with iffy sort of circumstances. First of all, what is a drug? What is a drug? Can it be possible for human beings to live on Earth with maximum potential without any first aid kit of the human brain, of the human spirit and soul? My answer to that is that, well, we need a certain amount of drugs if we consider drugs as things like religion, caffeine, morning coffee, late night slumber. As we grow up more and more into adult life, especially with the early teenage years and going on, there will be notions of gathering all sorts of enthusiasm, wit, and propriety standards when it comes to searching for ourselves in this massive universe, such as where this universe goes or where this universe should go. And definitely there's that paradox in terms of personality and consumption when it comes to how thirst and hunger play key roles to our qualities and quantities. And it does get tricky. Now, politics does get too much at times. And definitely, this album by the Beatles, this classic album by the Beatles, has attracted too much attention from certain opponents in the political world because there are those annoying sorts of enemies who pay too much attention to what other people do. There are those sorts of enemies who on purpose will pay too much attention, even when teachers and leaders and police officers and managers of businesses tell these people, well, ignore these people and get on with your life. And, you know, but those enemies do not want to accept that, do they? They want to feed onto that eyeball. They want to have that view. And they would crave for the view as if like the view is paramount to absolutely everything on them. But it does get out of hand because there's a difference between having political science being conducted for daily living and wasting time with political fruitlessness, such as just going off air and going off the deep end and not coming to fortuitous messaging of our hopes and desires. I make every review of something 30 minutes long if I can help it. 30 minutes, because I think it helps to expand on my confusion and expand on my ignorance and expand on my void of thought by putting in details with fine lines of interest and desire and hope when it comes to having a review on that 30-minute margin, to have that time span of minute, up to 30 minutes to showcase with a talk show what I think of the quality of music. So when it comes to the Beatles, the late Beatles, with their quality of music, were more about interest in deep lyrics, interest in deep words, interest in deep meaning, as an interest in deep sound. Everything about the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album gets deeper. It does get very deep. Really deep. I mean, if there would be Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, it's like there would be that sort of phenomenon of our notions getting higher and higher. And it's not just a notion with these tunes that we're in for when it comes to appreciation of golden oldies music. It's also with that fascination of paradox after paradox after paradox to kind of show the despotism of man, the despotism of woman, the despotism of humanity at large. Despotism is a kind of state of the human condition where a human will launch forth to really hold back, as if like there's some kind of imperfection of authority when it comes to a human being's needs and wants of the human mind. And you can look at the front cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the album. You can look at the album cover and see that there's a list of favorite writers by the Beatles, as in favorite celebrities, if you will. And well, where do these favorites go? Where do these favorites kind of switch back and forth with there being the clips of the photography, such as the mixture of black and white photography with color photography? Well, that definitely in of itself was a political statement. The mixture of black and white photography. Black and white photography. And for that reason, when I release this review in my talk show, I will do this talk show in black and white to show the paradox of color, such as where colors go in our minds. Because there's the colors that we see with our eyes, but then there's the colors with the sounds, the colors with the rhythm, the colors with our heartbeats. And let me give another toast with this. Half iced tea, half lemonade drink. So, what do I rate this album as when it comes to stars, when it comes to grades? Well, okay. I will give this album a high mark of approval with understanding of the cultural escape of overeducated elites when it comes to the forthcoming of dreams and wonders and humors and desires and pleasures. And I will give it, with this review, 3.5 stars out of 5. This is the kind of album where there can be some confusion here and there, obviously, with my reference to the key words of the album. My reference to the keywords of the album. And just as I talk about the album, it does feel like a degree of my thoughts and feelings do have a lot of that confusion or bewilderment of logistics. And that can cause some downgrade of quality to the music. Because after all, it's not just about the notes. It's also about the words. It's about the sounds. It's about the scratch. It's about the texture. And let's remind ourselves that the Beatles released a lot of albums in their running, and the albums were competing against each other for where the true touch of the Beatles would be when it comes to the touch of everyday life versus the touch of aftermath to World War II, such as aftermath to violence, aftermath to genocide, aftermath to public humiliation, public awareness, public virtue, public vice, public whereabouts when it comes to political catastrophe with political mayhem, and when it comes to the might and the song of daring to go deeper only to get weaker in some areas. With strength, of course.